Hello, my name is HerbLinn. I'm the Deputy Director of the Injury Control Research Center at West Virginia University in Morgantown, West Virginia. And today I want to talk about what I think are some of the key factors that contribute to successful research to practice collaborations and partnerships. But first, I have a brief story. When I first joined this center in the summer of 2011, I remember being completely overwhelmed and dismayed after looking at some of the data on the opioid overdose epidemic that by then was in full force in the state. My director at the time, who is now the Dean of the School of Public Health, Jeff Coben, asked me to do a couple things. First, to review the literature on opioid overdose prevention, and secondly, to attend the first National Prescription Drug Abuse Summit in Orlando, Florida, which was in April of 2012. At the summit in Orlando, I met Tim White, who's from Cabell County, West Virginia, and Josh Murphy, who's from Mingo County, West Virginia. And I told them about our center, and I admitted to them that I didn't know much about the opioid overdose epidemic that was raging, but that my center and I myself personally was committed to this issue, and I wondered, and I asked them this, how we could help them and support them in their work in southern West Virginia. Tim White was the regional prevention coordinator for Region 5 in West Virginia. That's 10 counties in southwestern West Virginia, which includes some of the highest risk counties in the state. And he was involved in leading a strategic planning effort for that region. And in answer to my question, he simply said, "Come to our next meeting." So I did. And for many months after that, I made a trip from Morgantown, West Virginia to Ripley, West Virginia, and then later from Morgantown to South Charleston, West Virginia by car. And it was about a 5-hour round trip to sit with this committee that was looking at strategies for preventing substance abuse and opioid overdose in that region. So I've given this account many times, usually to describe how our partnership initiated, but I've used it today because it illustrates a couple of what I think are key factors in engaging partners, engaging communities, and beginning research to partner collaborations. And the first is having a compelling and mutual challenge, and I think the opioid overdose epidemic was certainly that. But secondly, a willingness and an openness to engage with one another on all sides. And I saw that. I was certainly honest and willing to engage with these folks in southern West Virginia, and they in turn responded very positively, so we initiated a partnership at that point. But a third factor that's illustrated here is the power of interpersonal communication. I'm a fan of communication of all types, but I believe face-to-face is so superior. So there, excuse me, there are some other key factors that I've learned from this experience, including that we need to consider a broader understanding of knowledge. I consider our research to practice partnership as an effort that exemplifies the model which we call knowledge translation, but we often assume that the knowledge we're talking about is the knowledge produced by research that reveals more about risk or more about prevention and can be transferred really in one direction from the knowledge producer to the knowledge user. That couldn't be further from the truth. Another important type of knowledge, and just as important, is knowledge of the community that researchers need to work with. And by that I mean the history, the geography, the population demographics, the socio-cultural characteristics, even the existing practices and policies that are in place, and other types of knowledge. Everyone in a partnership and a collaboration brings specialized knowledge to the table, and effective collaborations do not rely on one-way or two-way, but multiple sources of pertinent knowledge communicated across the network of partnerships. So there are some other key factors that I'd like to relate that in a sense, I learned a lot about these from our collaboration with Southern West Virginia community, the need to listen and learn. I learned a lot about the 10-county region in Southwest West Virginia just by attending the meetings and basically speaking on those occasions when I had some relevant knowledge to impart. Usually that was about some research that I knew about that might be relevant to the community. But for the most part, I was engaged in the process of learning who my partners were and really where they were coming from, what their issues were, what they saw as the gaps in their knowledge or the gaps in their activities. And for me, it was a learned experience. Perhaps the essential factor in my view is to have somebody who serves a role as an intermediary, excuse me, who can bridge the gap between researchers and communities. And in our project, that was me. And I've come to consider the role that I played and continue to play as that of a knowledge broker, which is someone who can work to engage communities, somebody who can work effectively to become a manager of knowledge and contribute information on knowledge to the deliberations, but also who can link the community at the appropriate time to researchers. And when the time came in our project, I did that. I linked our community group to a PhD epidemiologist in our School of Public Health. And as I'll explain a little bit later, we actually collaboratively developed a research proposal, a successful research proposal. So the knowledge broker or the intermediary who can really facilitate this connection between researchers and partners is extremely important.